disappointing in the tournament, so a pretty disappointing run in the tournament so far. They got stomped by Luminosity Gaming, one of the stronger teams playing for North America this weekend. They almost got beaten by Red Reserve, but they were able to reverse sweep them in the end, and then they're playing against Epsilon Esports here. One of the stronger European rosters we've seen so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's another one of those teams that always gets, what's the saying I'm looking for? Always gets looked over. Nobody really has that much confidence in them, despite them proving themselves time and time and again. But now they find themselves going up against Team EnVyUs. Like you said, they're coming off a big 3-0 against Luminosity. I mean, but the good thing about this group so far, everybody is 1-1 inside of the group. So still anything can happen here. So this just adds more importance onto this match for this pool. But you guys are going to see the maps up on the screen. First is going to be Throwback, Hardpoint, Breakout, Search and Destroy second. Then Precinct, Uplink is going to be map number 3. And if we need map 4 and 5, it's going to be a Breakout, Hardpoint, as well as a Retaliation, Search and Destroy.
Yes, and you've seen some of the performance of Epsilon earlier on in the Bravo stream. You saw that was the first match of the day where they were able to beat Luminosity Gaming in a Game 5, taking full advantage of that roster's weakness in Search and Destroy. Epsilon is definitely not to be doubted, and they are certainly a force in this tournament. My one thing that I want to say about Epsilon, though, is that I feel like when it comes to Epsilon versus North American teams, I feel like they match up the best against Luminosity Gaming, so that might cause us to overstate their potential, but I still feel like this team has some strength in respawn, and they can definitely surprise, and not even surprise EnVyUs, but definitely sort of bring EnVyUs down, and that's especially in their ERAD play.
The team they lost to was a Game 5 against their EU brethren in Red Reserve as well, too. So, like I said, it could be different against NA teams, but then when they have to go back to playing the EU style, sort of, they might crumble. But both the games went to a Game 5. They just weren't able to close out that one as well. So just right down to the wire, basically everything for Epsilon so far here at CWL Anaheim. So we're loading into the map. It is going to be Throwback, the first one. And in your opinion, do you think right off the bat, do you think this favors Team EnVyUs?
I feel like this opening hill is going to actually favor Epsilon a bit if they can run their ERADs and perform a bit better. I think that's EnVyUs' weakness right now is how frustrated and flustered they get by teams that have strong ERAD players. And of course, on the side of Epsilon, they have Josh, and that's really the main person that I'm going to be looking at. But then we also have Dave, that's a great supporting player for the rest of the team.
Definitely is. So the clock
We're seeing 2 NB4s on the side of Epsilon right now.
And on the side of Team EnVyUs, we're seeing 3 ERADs. It's going to be Apathy, JCap, and John, and Slasher is going to be the lone NB4 here. So map number 1 is underway. As we said before, we are on Throwback, the first of a best of 5 between these two teams. We're hopping on board with pro player Apathy, but JCap is going to be able to draw first blood there on Vortex straight into top green. Apathy does go, and he's able to take out Hawkeye inside of there. Shots are going down. Kills being traded all around here. 2 players are automatically pushed all the way through to Diner for the side of Epsilon as well. Apathy doing his best to stay alive, trying to work his way towards those kill streaks. Was 150 off of a Scarab, but did get taken out.
So as I mentioned before on the stream, I've said that this is definitely a meta dominated by the ERAD. This is by far and away the strongest and most useful submachine gun at the pro level, and you can see it right here in the beginning. Some of the gunfights going in favor of EnVyUs. However, on the side of Epsilon, it's actually their NV4s that are contributing quite a bit, and the K-Bar as well from time to time. So do we see a little bit of tilt coming out of Team EnVyUs where they just think, oh, these ERADs are so ridiculous, let's just use as many as we can? Do you think it's just frustration causing them to start off the map like that?
It's unorthodox having 3 ERADs. I mean, you at least want 1 K-Bar and then the MV4 and then the 2 ERADs to try to get that, because a big part of holding that first hill is going to be controlling on that bridge side, and that's something that they failed to do. They completely gave it up to Epsilon. They took the lead there on that first hill as well. So now we are rotated over into the barn. The players that are going to be inside is JCap and John working back to back. Like I said, JCap, we know him as more of an assault rifle player, but he's one of those guys who can pull out that ERAD and try to do both. I mean, at one point in his career in Black Ops 2, he was forced to move away from the M8 and go towards the MSMC at one point as well. So he's familiar with the submachine guns, but definitely shines brighter with an AR in hand. Waiting for teammate support right now before he does make a push. But Epsilon looks to have a very good setup for this barn hill.
Yeah, the barn setup should work out for them here as they do get their first kill in this engagement. The rest of EnVyUs, they are well aware of pushing in from blue side, but John and Slasher don't care. Excellent gun skill allows them to win those engagements. Apathy catching Vortex as he runs away. That should be another kill for EnVyUs, and now we see Vortex just had, or Hawkeye, excuse me, had to push that completely outnumbered, and the remaining time on this hardpoint should easily go to Team EnVyUs. And you should expect Epsilon to try and set up around middle map and bike path, but instead they're just pushing in 1 by 1, and they're not able to win these engagements. Now they find themselves outnumbered again.
You know it's going to be a great game when Apathy is off to a hot start like this. The Scarab is coming into play as well. He's able to spot one. Knows it's going to be right around the corner, but jumps up on the bridge, picks up another 4-kill streak for him. Can he make it 5? He knows the positioning of the other player, waiting for that push. But look at him. He just keeps on piling on the points. In a sense, he's like juggling the hill every single time they get out of it. That's just going to keep on getting him streaks as well. 75 off that bombardment. So look for Apathy to play his life here and just stay in this corner, wait for his teammate support. And now he is going to have the bombardment and the Trinity rockets as well.
So this is a big start from Apathy. He has a K-bar in his hands right now, but the ERAD play from him in this map has been so disruptive. And you can see it's been able to amount to him to have full score streaks on the bottom right corner of your screen. He's working towards that FTL jump within the first like 2 minutes of the game. This is great, a great start to Hardpoint. Phenomenal Hardpoint play out of Apathy.
Apathy, one of the best players that we do have in Call of Duty, feeds off that momentum, and once he starts to get going, it's hard to shut him down. But thankfully, Epsilon was able to do that. But now look for him to possibly save these just in case things get ugly. It's going to be very, very useful on this baseball field as well as the middle map as well. So here we go again. 61-47 is the score, and it's rising for Epsilon. Have a good hold here, forcing all the Team EnVyUs players to spawn out on that blue side.
Score streaks coming in. We see Apathy, who was able to earn those just a few moments ago. He's able to find 1 kill, and just hovering it in the sky here wastes even more time and forces the enemy team to play more defensive, and should give Team EnVyUs a good position here on the hard point to get the final 30 seconds. Epsilon will be closing in from underpass and bowling as they get that first kill. That opens up a window of opportunity. They have to collapse from multiple angles, and Hockey opening that up with a kill of his own is a great way to do it. John, overwhelmed, can't answer to Josh and Dave, and that hard point is flipped right back to Epsilon, despite the score streak usage coming in from Team EnVyUs.
Excellent slaying from everybody on the side of Epsilon, and Josh is sitting at 8 and 11 as well, but he's not the guy who we're going to see put up these big numbers. It's going to be the Slayers like Dave, like Vortex, who are going to be putting up those big numbers as well. 4-kill streak for Vortex. We're on board with him. Has that Scarab ready to go. Spots one inside the tunnel. Cannot clean that up, but John is going to find himself a nice 2-piece to try to get that break there. Now, he said something about this first hill. You need to hold that bridge side. It's just such a big part to it. And this is where the MV4 play is going to come in. Apathy pushes him. Slasher pushes him. No one can shut down Hockey right now. Looks for John. He's starting to light up the kill feed here. 4-kill streak for him. Doing an excellent job of holding the bridge side.
Keep him coming, Hockey. His NV4 has been big. I mentioned in the early game where I said the NV4s are kind of shutting down the ERADs. We're seeing it right there from first person. Hockey really contributing to Epsilon's lead right now as they lead by 30 into our new hardpoint rotation. EnVyUs finds themselves middle map. This is a very scrappy hill, so you can imagine someone will answer to it in seconds. 2 kills going on both teams, but Epsilon comes out in the end with a total of 4. Dave is just moments away from getting his payload, so that could be pretty big if they want to hold down Barn effectively.
Yeah, and they're doing an excellent job right now. Hockey's watching this lane. Basically, what every single kill that he gets, it's going to force those players to spawn in that blue side over by baseball. So if he picks up this kill here, he knows that nobody's going to be coming from here anymore. Let's focus just on this barn side. So it's an excellent just communication coming from the side of Epsilon.
About him?
Now look, Hockey just is going to keep on calling out how many players are crossing. He missed a couple there because he ducked down, but they know that every single push that Team EnVyUs is going to make is coming from that left barn side. And it's just, at this point, it's Team EnVyUs just needs to try to flood the hill to break it. And just like that, they're winning the trades. The team fight does come in as well, and Apathy still does have that bombardment as well, but he's also making way towards another Trinity rocket.
Yeah, Davey slides in, or Hockey, excuse me, slides in right there and dies, ending his streak, but he was hoping to be able to push that with his team. NV4 close range isn't easy to use. Vortex coming up with a bunch of different kills. Apathy is finally able to respond to some of them, though, but Vortex is the one getting the better of the situation and getting the better of Apathy with that FTL jump. So lots of hill time right there and a decent usage of the payload should put Epsilon in a decent position. However, Dirk, no one else from the team was able to find kills, so EnVyUs is going to have control. Actually, they just gave it up right at the last moment there.
And the rotation's coming, and that's a big opening kill there by Dave. Takes out JCap, who's positioned over by the diner truck, but Team EnVyUs has 2 players inside of the hill right now. The push is coming in from Dave. Floats the flechette into the hill. Throws a jammer in there as well just for fun. Gets the assisted suicide, secures the point. So now he's 350 off that Trinity, but he's going to be shut down, but he was able to earn his payload. That is going to be the active camo. Apathy has the FTL jump ready to go as well, just in case I want to try to get a break to throw the other team off.
Yes,
but Hockey doing an excellent job right now of just bouncing inside and out of the hill, waiting for his teammates to come for support.
I was just going to say, please, let me see Hockey. He has just been a delight to watch so far this map with the NV4, almost winning the close range engagement. His teammate is able to clean it up. That's Vortex, who has also been a very high impact player in this respawn for his team. Slasher looks like he's coming online with that triple kill. Awesome position out of him to find those long range engagements and pepper the last player for John to clean up. He's 25 points off of that Scarab, and he knows there's someone towards this bus here, and he's got access to the camo. So I think that Slasher should actually be the one leading this charge. I don't think he should be the one in the back line. He should definitely be one of the first players to engage this hill so they can break it with camo. Oh, they have streaks. They're going to use that instead.
The bombardment comes in from Apathy. It's able to take out some of the players from Epsilon. Now completely opens it up, and control is going to go to Team EnVyUs here, but Dave still being a nuisance up inside office building. He's going to be taken out, but now 2 players coming in from bowling, 1 coming from underpass. Vortex, we're on board with him. His teammates are going to be able to find 1. Slasher and John are going to be able to shut that down. Vortex finds himself a 2nd, trying to find a 3rd inside of the hill. There's going to be 1 player coming from behind him. Slides. He's not going to be able to get the shots down to take out JCap. And nice hold there coming from Team EnVyUs. Now just 24 points away from taking the lead.
You know, I got to give credit here for EnVyUs' push on this hard point is very well thought out and methodical. At first I questioned why is Slasher still getting scrap time when he has camo, but I actually forgot that in the very opening moments of the game, Apathy got fully streaked out and held that bombardment. That is the perfect hill to call them bombardment on, because you can force them back towards blue or into an unadvantageous gunfight towards bowling. And that's why EnVyUs is able to mount so much time on that hill and come right back. Now, they have positioning on middle map too and still held on to those payloads here, Dirk. This is looking really good if you're an EnVyUs fan.
See, and here's the thing. Slash has been trying to get into that position up on top bridge, but every single time Epsilon sends 2 players to take him out. In that instance, it was Josh, and I believe it was Dave. They both pushed that bridge side and took out Slasher. Now look, Josh is going to be in this power position, but Team EnVyUs comes right back with hitting a 2-player push. Make that 3, actually. Let's see what John is going to be able to do here. Does have that reactive armor to work with, has a Scarab as well. He was able to find 1 up on the top train, but nobody currently inside of the hill. He's going to be able to take out 1 more. So now finally a player hops inside. That's going to be Slasher, and he's been the main man who has turned this around for Team EnVyUs.
Oh,
you need your NV4 players to go back head-to-head with Hawkeye, and that's exactly what Slasher is doing.
Can we take a look at JCap and see what's going on with him? I know he started off the game with the ERAD. I wanted to see if he was still rocking it. It looks like he is. Loses that close range engagement. Dave is actually going to get that first shot and finish the job. And it looks like the rest of Epsilon is going to close in on Barn here. They're set up. Most of the push from EnVyUs should come from the side of Food and Grandma's house. So player 2, which is Hawkeye, should be moving up towards Market to help them out, and that he does.
And they're doing an excellent job of just winning these one-on-one gunfights. And just like that, Team EnVyUs takes control of Barn. We know this is one of the money hills. It is so hard to break. And now they do have the lead in this one. They have some utility to work with as well. So things get sticky. Look for John to pop that reactive to guarantee him a gunfight win. He gets into a gunfight with Dave. Says, I don't even need that, but gets shot from behind. And just like that, we see another break come in from Epsilon, and they take control of Barn with 25 seconds left.
Epsilon is about to be all gold everything. We have such an evenly matched hardpoint going on so far, but those payloads, and as soon as they activate them, that could be what gives them and pushes them the edge over Team EnVyUs. They're fighting all they can as best they can. Lots of trades going down here, but Epsilon is still getting the better of it. They're still getting the hill time despite these staggered pushes from EnVyUs. So now we rotate from Barn over to Bike Path, and it starts all over again.
It definitely does. So now the new rotation is in. It's going to be over by Bike Path. 1 player is going to be inside the hill for Epsilon. That is going to be Josh. Nobody from Team EnVyUs in any way is going to be able to contest right now. But as I said, they get the spawn by bowling, and they're going to see the 3 blue arrows start to flood in from that diner side. Now they do have control, but there's 1 player being a nuisance. That is going to be Vortex. He picks up a 3-piece. 36 kills for him. Dave on a 4-kill spree as well. 3 players from Epsilon about to break 30 kills in this match right here. Score is 225 to 194, and Epsilon is starting to pull away.
3 players are hitting 30. JCap has not been able to surpass 20, nor has Josh. But he's surrounded by so many players that have had a phenomenal map thus far. Dave, Vortex, you've seen their name in the kill column so many different times, even though Hawkeye, before all of them, started off the game just that way. 16 seconds separates Epsilon from taking map 1 against EnVyUs, who was looking very good toward the middle stages of it when we had Apathy and Slasher going off.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think one of the biggest things that you have to give credit to Epsilon's performance here in the hardpoint, they've been doing such a good job of placing players where you usually don't see professional teams put players. Like in the middle of the map for this hill, they have a player with an MV4 watching over, and they're able to get those kills before Team EnVyUs can even touch. Now just 3 seconds away is Epsilon from taking this one, but nobody is inside the hill. 1 player's in the back, and Dave is going to go ahead and jump in. That's an active cam. He's able to find 1. Can he find the second? He'll contest it, and he picks that one up.
See?
Final score, 250 to 199. Epsilon takes it over Team EnVyUs.
Yeah, right there. If you're looking at the mini-map, you knew the game was over. Epsilon had the favorable spawns towards Bowling Alley, but not only that, they had the payloads to work with. So if there was a crucial gunfight that they absolutely needed to win to keep that map pressure up, they were easily going to take it. You saw the camo play come into effect, and if all of EnVyUs is flooding in from one direction, Epsilon can easily just focus fire there.
That was just one of the biggest things. Like, the key highlight was Hockey on the bridge.
At least for the first half of the game, for sure.
It was insane. Nobody had really an answer for him. Finally, they start to figure out, hey, if we two-push this guy, we're going to be able to take him out and try to get control. But it was just right back and forth. Epsilon knew exactly how to break it. But like I said, on their setups on Hardpoint, very unorthodox. Usually you just see teams maybe send 2 players inside the hill, back diner as well, but they had players positioned over in the middle map on top of the train, picking off any Team EnVyUs player that came down, which you don't see a lot, but it's a nice way to keep them progressing all the way back behind the map, gets them a nice clean rotation going to baseball 2 where they closed it out. So that was just a great all-around Hardpoint performance from Epsilon.
And see, that's a spot you would typically see maybe Slasher getting in for EnVyUs, but Epsilon was just always there already for it, right? In the first half of the game, Hockey was just always in a perfect position to take down most of the enemy roster, going on 3, 4 streaks over and over again, and no one could answer to it. And then as soon as he slowed down, we saw Vortex and Davey just take over. Dave was a monster throughout that map, and we really got to highlight his play for sure. Even in the face of score streaks and payloads, Epsilon was able to take down EnVyUs map 1.
Yeah, I mean, they had the streaks. They had to use them early as well. They got some clean breaks with it, but it just came down to those big one-on-one gunfights. We brought up going over towards Barn where EnVyUs was able to break, but they gave up the setup almost instantly. Now, the one thing that I believe, if we saw the stats for that Barn Hill, Epsilon probably has a significant more amount of time inside the hill there, I would think, just from going back and thinking of the game. But the only thing is their setup, they made sure we saw Hockey would sit on the bridge, but they get the rotation to Barn. He'd kill anybody coming from bowling and mid, forcing them to spawn by blue.
Yeah.
And that's just one lane that they have to go down as well. So it was just a great setup that they had from them. They made sure that nobody could come from middle map or from that diner side, over by Lemon or Granny's.
Yeah.
That's why the reason they had so much success with Team EnVyUs, they gave up that Barn side. People were pushing from Granny's. They were able to get a nice pinch coming in from the backside as well, too. So it was just, honestly, it was just Epsilon outplaying Team EnVyUs.
It was the Dave and Vortex show later on throughout that hard point. First, we saw Hockey's NV4 really taking over. The ERADs of EnVyUs, really outside of apathy, they just didn't have enough pressure. JCap couldn't pass 20 kills towards the end of the game, and as we mentioned, all three of the 4 Epsilon players, excluding Josh, were able to surpass 30, and that's just pretty crazy to me. It was an awesome game. It showed that the pressure of the ERADs that EnVyUs were trying to employ just wasn't enough for them to take that hard point. I think that Epsilon only had like one, in the hands of Vortex, right? It was pretty much just K-Bar and NV4. Other than that,
I don't even think that, I'm like trying to think off the top of my head if anybody on Epsilon even ended up getting streaks. I can't think off the top of my head any time that we saw streaks come into play from anybody on the side of Epsilon. But like we said, they all
nothing
dropped
beyond a Scarab.
3 players dropped 30 plus on that team as well too. So like we said, credit to them for that. But now we're going to be moving into Search and Destroy. This one's going to be on Breakout. Still, Breakout's a little iffy, right, between teams. Nobody really still knows how to play it yet. I mean, I think
it's in its infancy stage.
In the Global Pro League, we saw it maybe a couple times. There was times where it was set as the Game 5 map as well, so we didn't really get down to those stages seeing it. But this is still such a toss-up. We don't know what teams trying to do. Just from us as casters and just watching it, middle map control is like everything. It gives you so many options. If you get control of that middle map, you can go push into showers. You can try to go through that B side as well. But if you're trying to just hit the wall onto A, now if they get the middle map, they're going to be able to pin you inside the A side as well. So just look for middle map control from any of these teams on
There
offense.
are just a lot of vantage points around middle map and the showers area, so expect to see heavy emphasis on that, maybe some sniping play once we get around those windows on middle. I mean, we could see some flanks coming in, but those flanks are going to take such a long time. They're really difficult to execute, and really just the emphasis is going to be around those long wall runs and middle maps. So Breakout, though, as we said, it's a map that's in its infancy stage in the Call of Duty World League. These teams don't exactly practice Search and Destroy against one another too much in like an official setting, right? They typically play wagers, they'll practice it individually, and they just theory craft from there. So we're going to see some strategies that we haven't seen from the last event, and we haven't seen from the event before that. So I'm really curious to see how it works out here.
As weird as it sounds, tournament time is like Search and Destroy practice time. Really, I mean, other than that, players and these players, they don't play Search and Destroy outside of tournaments together as a team. Maybe at the beginning stages of the game, I know Rise was always entering in Search and Destroy tournaments as well. So the 2Ks and stuff, that's a nice way to get the little practice in. situation, but it's still, there's not much strategy that goes into Search and Destroy and Infinite Warfare either, so it's not like anything crazy where you need to come up with tactics and everything. It's just sort of, where are we forward pushing this time? Are we going for maybe a 2-2 split from here in mid?
I think that's kind of underselling the amount of work they put into it, though. These guys are constantly thinking about, like, who plays best in what position, right? We saw Luminosity. They favor Saints in that bike shop area on Retaliation, right? And Retaliation, Search and Destroy. And I think that it's good to play to your strengths and sort of figure out what works for you, which is why I think at the previous event, we saw that Luminosity, they were able to just understand they have to forward push. They can't make these plays individually in Search and Destroy. They just roam around as an overwhelming death ball. So I think that there is a bit of strategy that goes into Search and Destroy and Infinite Warfare.
Alrighty, 20 seconds left on the timer before we jump into this one. If you guys are just now tuning in, we have a best of 5 going down between Epsilon Esports and Team EnVyUs. I'm Dirk. I'm joined alongside Fox here, bringing you guys the action for this matchup. Every team inside of this pool is currently sitting at 1-1, so a lot on the line, and every single game matters. We're going to be starting on offense, and we're going to be on board with Dave. He does have the bomb in hand as well.
Dave, designated bomb carrier for Epsilon. Expect that to happen very frequently for this team. And it looks like they're going to decide to work towards this B site. It's a difficult one, but Epsilon does not know that no one from EnVyUs is watching this. This is actually a free plant. However, they have all of EnVyUs pushing up and pressuring the rest of Epsilon on middle map. So even if they plant this, it looks like it could be a free retake. Apathy with the double kill on middle map opens things up in a big way, and it looks like it could just close out the rest of this round here as Josh is stuck in a 1v3.
So like we saw the defensive strategy coming from Team EnVyUs, just a flood straight into middle, making sure they get that control. Now Josh is left last alive. He's able to find one, but does get the pinch from the players from Team EnVyUs, and just like that, they're going to get the first round on the board. And it's going to be Slasher here in your final kill cam with the E-Rad in hand.
Easy hip fire kill right there, Josh, or against Josh from Slasher. Just has to get up close. Just heading in around number 2. You get to see the side switch. It's now going to be EnVyUs' turn on offensive run.
Going to be the bomb carrier as always for Team EnVyUs. That is going to be Slasher here. He has the E-Rad in hand as well. So let's just quickly scroll through. We're going to see 3 E-Rads and then 1 K-Bar, and the K-Bar is going to be in the hands of John. Shots are going to be going down at Showers. They spot one player hitting the wall, and they're able to take out Vortex with a nice little team shot coming in from the players of Team EnVyUs. Now this bomb is going down. One player going to be positioned right outside of Showers. That is going to be Josh. Has an MP4 in hand, so smart for him to just kind of back up, not to get himself into those sticky situations. JCap is going to be able to find a kill of his own, so now it's Hawkey and Josh trying to come up with a 2v4 win.
Josh running straight through, beating Apathy in close quarters. Not something you usually see. That's usually where Apathy really shines. 1 versus 2, though, and he's not going to be able to clutch that up for Epsilon. So EnVyUs will close out that round following their plans.
It's going to be curious to see what Team EnVyUs does on defense this time around. We saw the 4-man stack in mid, and like we talked about it, we preach it. Everybody kind of knows that middle map control gives you so many options, so if you shut that down, you're going to be able to get a read on somewhere. If somebody plants on A, you're going to be able to quickly turn and look directly through loading dock, and you're going to be able to see if anybody's coming out. Same thing with B as well. So let's see what Team EnVyUs is going to do here on defense. Looking like a 2-2 split here at 7 and 8. Apathy, Slasher together, and then John and JCap pushing towards that middle map area.
And it's really scary to play this B site here on offense, right? Because you run the risk of too many players from the enemy team pushing through mid, and then you're at a situation where you could possibly be pinched, right, or sectioned off from each other. So Epsilon going for this 2 times in a row, they have to be pretty confident in their play on this site.
That's one of the things about playing the middle map area like they did. If nothing is coming to A, they know it 100% has to be B. So the big wraparound comes, and you're going to see the 2 players in the back. That is going to be Slasher and JCap working together back here. They've been able to find some entry frags, but now 1 player is going to be left up. That is going to be Josh. Shots are going down, but he is being pushed by an army of the boys in blue, and he will be finally taken out. So that's round number 3 for Team EnVyUs. Make that 3 in a row.
Epsilon has got to answer back here soon. Both their offensive plays are just failing. They can't even get this bomb site down when EnVyUs leaves it open 2 times in a row. So whether that's them not getting enough information on middle map or them just being far too hesitant, I'm not sure. But if they're going to keep making that play, something has to change because EnVyUs just going to start reading it. It's only going to get more difficult.
Yeah, it definitely is. So now the bomb is going to be going to John. See what their plan of attack is here. They favored the A site last time. Didn't really, it worked out for them. They were able to get the win. So They're going to go ahead and push through middle map and push into straight to the showers. You see the line of arrows going back for Epsilon from all the way from tank going up to laundry and the spiral stairs as well. John's going to be able to tag one player up, but he's not going to be able to finish that one off. Now Slasher's left alive in a 1 versus 2. He's not going to be able to take out Josh there, so excellent team play coming in from the side of Epsilon as they get their first round here in Breakout Search and Destroy.
So see, right there, I thought things were going to turn around because Slasher actually turned around while he was weak from Josh's shots and found 2 kills, but no one else from EnVyUs was able to. I mean, they were working at a man disadvantage because of the kills that Epsilon opened up with, but I thought that that would have been a big swing moment for them. However, they weren't able to capitalize on it. Epsilon closes out their first round in the game.
Let's see here, John's getting crafty, pulls out the KBS longbow, has that EMC in the back pocket as well, has a smoke grenade of flechette, so maybe look for the smoke to go down just to give him that cover so he can use a thermal sight as well. He spotted Josh up in security, but was not able to get the kill there. Wasn't even able to get a hit marker, but it gives them a little bit of intel if somebody does go up towards that flank. So John wraps back to garage now to try to get a line of sight here at security room.
So they worked B again, and this time they did change something. They sent 3 there and sent 1 way back in the spawn to watch the flank. EnVyUs is not pushing up to capitalize on when they make this play, and that's really bothering me now. But John here, sitting in the back with the sniper, trying to find a pick, and it's not coming his way. As you can see, the engagement's going down middle map, and it's in favor of Epsilon. Another round win. That's 2 straight. They're bringing themselves back into this game, Dirk.
Yeah, they did an excellent job of holding their ground here by the Cliff Road. As you're going to see, Hawkeye in your final kill cam, he's able to take out John. It's going to be one that he's always going to win when John has a pistol in his hand. But excellent round there coming from Epsilon. So let's see how they do play the defensive side here. Let's go ahead and jump on board with them for this defensive side. We'll go on the eyes of Josh. He has the MV4 in hand, currently sitting at 5-4, leading the team. So see how they do play this one. You're going to see 1 push over towards B, and you're going to see 3 hit middle. You see the team EnVyUs arrows on the map. They're starting to just wall run straight into showers right now. I'm wondering if Vortex has any sort of line of sight. He has the E-Rad in hand, but going to go ahead and run back around. The bomb should be going down soon. Slasher and crew are going to opt to just kind of go for that long rotation all the way around to B.
Oh, wow, they wrapped all the way through here. The play call from EnVyUs is to ignore the bomb site, push through for a flank. They lose a player in the process, though. You got to see that coming. Apathy responds to the kill onto Vortex. That's a big player to shut down. They still get 2 kills, though, here, Dirk. And it looks like they're not making anything of this wrap. They're not making anything of that wall run.
See, it looked like a lot of miscommunication coming from the team EnVyUs side. I mean, you push all the way forward. You waste that time going on that wall run to cell block, but you have nothing to show for it. You're kind of stuck in a spot. Okay, do we want to wrap all the way over to B, or are we going to try to just fight this gun to gun and try to get the win there? It didn't work out for them. I would have liked to see them kind of wrap around that B site. Obviously, we have the COD cache, so we can see there's nobody there, but they should kind of have a general idea. Once they see how many players there are, send that bomb carrier over to B, get that bomb down, then the time is in your favor. But now it's 3 rounds in a row for Epsilon, and we are tied here 3-3 in round number 7.
So they give 3 straight rounds to Epsilon. EnVyUs still has that payload advantage because of the early lead they got in this game. So if this game goes to the end, if this game goes far to the distance, I mean, it's still going to work out in an advantage of Team EnVyUs. 4 players on mid-map just around Vortex. He knows he's not challenging that anytime soon. Trying to get away from that chip damage they're putting on him, though. And the kill still goes in favor of EnVyUs. It's a Scarab, pops Dave.
So first blood in the man count in favor of Team EnVyUs. Apathy does have the FTO jump ready to go. You're going to see the flechettes go over towards Graveyard, and they are going to make contact with the blast shield. It's going to save the player from the side of Epsilon Esports. Apathy going to go ahead and use that FTL jump. Not much to come from it. Is finally going to be able to spot 1 player in the back, but that's going to be cleaned up by John. So now it's JCap and John 2v2 going up against Vortex and Hawkeye. Hawkeye flying high in the sky. He's going to be able to take out JCap. Now John needs to try to make some magic happen here. He's positioned over in mid-map. See how they do this one. He's pushing up towards the spiral stairs. He spots 1 player sliding across. He's going to be able to tag him up, but he's going to be able to get the kill. But the trade immediately going to be there. Now 4 rounds in a row for Epsilon.
That was a big bait right there. He saw him. He definitely saw him just before he turned that corner. And see, he just slides right past to force him to run up as he tags him. And then, as you can see, Hawkeye right there, lined up, ready and waiting. Good play from Epsilon to close out the 2v1 in a clean fashion.
Excellent bait and switch coming from the side of Epsilon there to get another round on the board. Hawkeye having himself just a little bit of a game, sitting at 9-3. He's going to be fully streaked out, does have that overdrive ready to go as well, so it just looks like this should be Epsilon games to win with all the utility that they do have. But anything can happen in search and destroy. He's able to tag out one player with some clean shots over towards that cave, but no kill is going to come from him. Now we're seeing the same defensive setup that we saw from Team EnVyUs in round 1. Epsilon is replicating exactly that. And now look at Team EnVyUs. They're stuck. They're kind of just spread everywhere, just waiting, trying to figure out what do we do. We know that they're spread completely across. So this is a point where opening picks are going to be huge for Team EnVyUs.
Man, if they don't shut down Hawk here soon, they are not winning this map. Sure, EnVyUs had their cute little payload advantage, but if you take a look, Epsilon's catching right back up. Not only that, Hawk is fully streaked out. This bombardment equals at least a payload or two on the side of EnVyUs. John opens things up with a kill onto Vortex. That first blood is big because that means they can establish mid-map and Showers control a bit easier despite there being 2 Epsilon players near the wall runs. They're actually going to push straight through and try and get behind Epsilon, throwing them out of their comfort zone here.
25 seconds to work with here. Going to be able to find one more. That one's going to be on Dave, and that Slasher taking him out. So now Josh needs to try to make some magic happen. Going to go ahead and jump off the map to ensure that they do not get that bomb plant for that score for Apathy. So Team EnVyUs does get a round on the board. So that's going to be 4-4. Slasher is going to be the player in your final kill cam.
They got to do something about Hockey, man. He's carrying Epsilon to the end of this search and destroy. And if they don't stop him soon, it's going to end up in a victory. Because I think Epsilon is really going to capitalize on playing around Hockey. And this could definitely be their map.
See, now if you're Team EnVyUs, you have to look at the scoreboard and you see he's 9-4. You have to know he at least has that Trinity Rocket and that Scarab, but maybe not that bombardment. Depends how much they really study in and how much it takes to get those streaks. So look for them just to play this B site. Then as soon as they call in that bombardment or Trinity Rocket, that's going to cause the player to go into medical bay. We're going to see the Trinity Rocket come in. Now look for this for hover. This is going to be one of the smartest plays in search and destroy that you can make. You see the rocket going down slow, getting the call outs and forcing the players into one building. But during that time, 2 players from Epsilon do drop with 1 minute left here in this round.
2 players drop. They still have access to the bombardment. Josh grabs the bomb, but they're still outnumbered in this instance, and EnVyUs knows exactly where they're at. So they're very much limited in where they can go here. Slasher trying to pull up on that flank. I'm not quite sure why he was so far ahead with no follow-up, but hey, it happens. And Josh punishes him for it when it does.
There's more shots going down. They know the players are over there by cave. Now Josh is going to get this bomb down, but JCap and Apathy are on the hunt. They smell blood, and JCap's going to be able to get the bomb carrier. That is going to be Josh, but that bomb is down. Now they need to try to take out Hawkey, sitting at 9-4. Might utilize the bombardment here. He's going to do exactly that. The 2 players are pushing towards him. He has to know they're going to be starting to push in here to try to get to that cover. He's going to be able to spot one. He's going to be able to take him out. That's JCap. Apathy left last alive now in a 1 versus 1 situation. See, Hawkey.
Oh,
I think he got the spot on him.
That is a bold move to use this in the 1v2. He has to come out of here with a win if he's going to use a score streak like that. This is very dangerous. 13 seconds remaining. He wins the gunfight. That's the end of the round as Apathy does not have enough time to defuse.
It's just those small little plays of just running or playing like Ring Around the Rosie on that box. He needs it. Time's on his side. He needs Apathy just to start rushing at him. All he needed to do in that instance was just delay the time enough, and he did exactly that. Apathy was able to get the kill, but the round win went to Epsilon. Now just 1 round away from going up 2-0 in this best of 5. And Hawkey, something to bring up too. He still has that overdrive, has a Scarab as well, but he did use the Trinity Rocket and that bombardment too.
Yeah, we're seeing the active camo here, ready to be used. And I do have full confidence in Epsilon closing out the search and destroy. EnVyUs has access to the Slasher camo, and John and JCap should be able to get their payloads here soon. But I don't know. I think that Epsilon has definitely come to life in this search and destroy, especially with how Hawkey's playing.
So like you said, Slasher has that active camo, just kind of peeking out, getting the calls on a player that is jumping high up in the sky. I believe that's Hawkey getting that intel. Knowing that Slasher's over there. Slasher, he's going to be able to get the nice shots in with that K-bar from range, and now this completely opens everything up for Team EnVyUs. They push straight onto the site, but Dave is able to get the trade there on Apathy. Now a 3 versus 3 situation. Haven't even utilized the payload yet.
Hawkey, what are you doing? He's been doing that same thing, and he thought that getting more aggressive and more obnoxious with that jump was going to make it easier. No, they're going to read it and team shot you right out of the sky. So EnVyUs taking full advantage of that. They push up towards the site here. And now Epsilon has to answer back here soon.
The camo's going to pay off. He's able to find one, but it's going to be Epsilon coming out on top of the kills. Now John is left alive in a 1 versus 2. He's able to find Josh. Some shaky shots coming in there from John. And just like that, it is going to be Epsilon taking the breakout search and destroy 6-4.
Epsilon here closing out a second map. EnVyUs has their backs against the wall and what is looking like a pretty disappointing run in the tournament so far. They're not looking great. We're, of course, still very early on. It's only day one. We're in the groups phase. This is what determines the seeding into the bracket play. But you can't start off like this, right? And, of course, Epsilon, we can't take anything away from how great this team is. They're having a good tournament, following up a decent run in the group phase of Stage 1 and a victory at CWL Birmingham. But EnVyUs is a world-class championship caliber team that's performing like this.
Yeah, it definitely is. And like we said, this pool is very interesting. Everybody currently, as it stands right now, sitting at 1-1. So this match is huge, you know, just to try to get towards that top spot,
right,
to make sure that you get into that to the bracket play as well too. But I mean, that was just a great all-around game played from Epsilon so far in the Hardpoint, as well as that Search and Destroy. Even though Search and Destroy was close, they looked real good in the Hardpoint. That was one thing that kind of blew me away. Like, I knew they were pretty good at Hardpoint, but that showing that they had against Team EnVyUs, it was very good.
Yeah, it's just all four players going off at different times in that map. And here we have Team EnVyUs. They are a team that you would expect to have #1 in the seed, but if you're not playing like a #1 seed, someone else, a team like Epsilon, who's definitely capable of it, will just come up and take it right from you. So guys, we're going to go into map number 3, but first we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to get right back into EnVyUs versus Epsilon. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. We have Team EnVyUs facing off against Epsilon here at the Call of Duty World League Anaheim Open. Epsilon is up 2-0 in map count in this series, and they are 1 away from shutting out Team EnVyUs, who recently in this tournament went down in a similar fashion against Luminosity Gaming. Dirk?
See, now we're going to be heading into a Precinct Uplink, and if coming into this, before I've been seeing how Epsilon plays, right, just coming into this, I'd be like, this favors Team EnVyUs 100%. I think after seeing the slaying power of what we've been seeing from Hockey, from what we've seen from Dave as well, and Vortex throwing it into that hard point of how well they were able to slay.
Right.
It's a toss-up. I think it's going to be a close game. I do see Epsilon coming out with it. That's going to be one of my biggest things. But the only reason I say that is, too, because if these guys get flustered, they have Josh there. It's like they're sort of veteran compared to sort of like how a Tommy would be for Fnatic. They keep the heads level and everything. He's make sure that the communication is there. Because Epsilon sometimes is a team where if they start getting demoralized, they don't communicate. That's the same thing with Team EnVyUs, though. Slasher, he starts to get stuck in the weeds, and then that's when the communication just completely goes south. Nobody really talks anymore. So that's one thing to focus. That's what you got to... Team EnVyUs' mindset right now. Losing these 2 maps, they're probably not feeling that good. So that's something we have to keep in mind going into this. I mean, anybody who's watched a Team EnVyUs scrim that is going bad, I mean, when they're going good, all the guys are happy and everything. But once they're bad, it's hard to get... It's hard to get everybody back to that level of like, okay, I've regained, I'm ready to play again. So that's going to be my biggest thing to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely expect to see Team EnVyUs get demoralized, especially with the performance so far in the tournament. Epsilon looks like they are set to finish it out 3-0. The question, though, for EnVyUs fans at home is, can your team come through and respond in a big way in this respawn game mode? Let's see how it goes. We're looking through the eyes of JCap. 2 Epsilon players just around the corner. He's outnumbered, though. So with those kills in the beginning of the game, that actually puts Epsilon in a good offensive position. Not with Slasher right here, though, beaming.
Definitely not. Just look for him to get into those power positions with that MV4 playing his range. So it makes Slasher such a good player. He's not going to put himself into any sticky situations where he's going to be cornered into those close engagement gunfights. See him trying to tag up Josh there. He's able to take out Dave with a nice little turn and flip right there on a 3-kill streak of his own. The drone gets thrown to him. He's going to go ahead and drop that one. Now it looks like Team EnVyUs is going for the push here. They should be able to get a 1, but Apathy's going to get the nice cleanup and make that a 2-point play. EnVyUs tags on 2 points in the first minute of the game.
All right, Slasher staying alive after the 2-point play. That's what you want to see. He's opening this up with a 5 streak. That's an angry Slasher on your screen. Working towards those score streaks. He's definitely the player to watch right now. Staying alive in the EnVyUs base, in the Epsilon base, excuse me. He's still trying to make a difference here with the objective, though, as it looks like Dave and Josh have it all locked down.
Excellent movement coming in there from Dave. Is able to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge as John is able to finally clean him up. And now Vortex is going to try to regain here. Throws the 1-point play and is just going to get it by a hair. So they get their first point on the board.
Second, huh?
It looked like it missed off to the side there for a second, but now we're jumping back on board with Slasher. The man has the Trinity Rocket. He has the Scarab as well. He's starting to get heated up once more. He's actually out of bounds playing. Oh, that was a very patient play.
Don't do that to my heart.
What he's doing.
They're taking control of the statue there. Epsilon surrounding it. Many EnVyUs players coming in from orange here. Vortex turns around, not expecting the second to come through. That's John, who tags him, bags him, and backs up, waiting for some support. I think we're trying to wait and see what goes on here and what unfolds around middle map as 2 players from EnVyUs are flanking, and he's going to meet Dave, the drone carrier. He takes him down. Big double kill from JCap to follow up his teammate's death. Now, this is EnVyUs' turn. They have 3 players escorting the drone carrier and a wide open portal. They have to sink the shot. That they do. EnVyUs is up 3-1.
JCap's not going to miss those. It's a man who practices those day in and day out. So now Team EnVyUs currently up 3-1. Drone control in the center of the map is going to be going towards Epsilon, but Vortex is going to have his hands full here. 1 player spotted right behind him. Is he going to be able to get the turn? No, John is going to come out on top. Now Slash is going to be left last alive. He's going to rotate back to watch this middle street, and Dave is going to come out on top. Now Hawkey needs to try to make something happen. He passes up to Dave, but Dave gets taken out mid-pass, and just like that, the Team EnVyUs stop is going to come in once more.
EnVyUs able to clear out their base, stop what could have been a 1-point play from Epsilon, and now they're going to wrap it around instead of throwing it out towards Statue. So they have to know Epsilon will be coming up from middle map, and there should be someone just around the corner on cue. The gunfights are going down. They're still going in favor of Epsilon. Just a few more remaining on Elwall. They have to win something here, but no, he's outnumbered. Dave and Hawk stay alive. Dave and Hawkey stay alive, and EnVyUs stuck in their base now have to fight from glass.
And now Dave and crew are going to decide to wrap around once more to this middle street. This has been something that some teams like to do, but it's sort of unorthodox to say the least, but it is working out for him. The pass does go up to Vortex. Vortex gets a nice dunk in, make that 3-3 as we have 1 minute and 30 seconds left here in the first half, but now they are set for the relay. You see Hawkey, he's coming from behind with a drone in hand on a 3-kill streak. Should be able to get the dunk here. Vortex could just go out and bait for a second, and just like that, another dunk goes in for Epsilon, 5-3.
They stop him just after he puts it in, but it's not enough. 2 points on the board, and EnVyUs is now trying to mount a comeback here and set up around middle and statue. It looks like Josh here, it was him and Dave last time that were able to stop them despite their map positioning, and it looks like they're up to do it again.
Something about this middle street push that's working. It's going to work out when you have Dave and Josh working back-to-back. 7-3. Epsilon having a field day on this side in the first half of Hardpoint. And look, they're set for another relay. Dave is just going off. He's been able to do everything to shut down those players coming from gas side. And look at that. Everybody slaying out in the base. Another 2 points and another relay for Epsilon.
This is getting spooky. This is getting real scary for the EnVyUs side. Their series life is on the line here, and in the last 30 seconds of this round, we see Epsilon leading dominantly by 6 points. Score streaks on their side and everything getting into the second half. EnVyUs has a lot of work to do and a tall mountain to climb, and the kills aren't stopping. Epsilon is still putting numbers on the board.
I said before this game started, it's kind of have to favor Epsilon with how aggressive they're playing today, and it's definitely showing. We brought up the key slayers from the Hardpoint. Two of them, Vortex and Dave. These are the guys who are going to be doing so much of the dirty work for this side, and it's showing here. 9-3 is the score. Epsilon leading as we head into the second half of Precinct Uplink.
Envy has got to be demoralized, but this is the moment where they need to play at 100% if they want to come back, because Epsilon is giving them just that. And it shows in the scoreboard, 9-3, an awesome performance in this first half. You take a look at the scoreboard and see what our performers look like. Dave, 18-10. He's been great so far today, this tournament. Vortex, 16-12 with access to his payload. But on the other side, Apathy, who had a decent start to the Hardpoint, and he's definitely a big factor for EnVyUs, and Respawn is currently 8-16. Opening it up with a two-piece, someone's got to be able to play the objective. But Dave, again, being such a nuisance around that drone spawn, he buys his team a little bit of time to come up off spawn and play defense.
See, and now Team EnVyUs can still come back from this 100%. They just need to abuse the spawn trap exactly how Epsilon did as well. Slasher actually had a streak. Derek calls in the Trinity Rocket, is able to find one. I believe he found two. So now they're starting to get things cooking up here with Apathy and Slasher. But they, like I said, they need to abuse the spawn trap exactly what Epsilon did to them. They had at least 3 rallies where they got dunks off. They need to try to replicate that play exactly. But look, they're getting the kills, but nobody is there to get the drone and pull it out. This is the second time since the second half where they have not done that.
So here's what needs to happen. Slasher needs to keep cooking for EnVyUs. That can't stop. He needs to keep shooting and positioning the way he is with that NV4. But one of his more aggressive frontline players needs to come online here. Even if they don't have a phenomenal performance, at least they can kill Josh and Dave on middle map.
And the shot does go in, but it falls short, so now it's going to be Hockey and crew pushing out towards the orange tarp side. See how they do. They're just playing very patient. This is one thing that you have to admire about Epsilon's uplink play as well. They're perfectly fine with just wasting time with it, just running around, making sure they get the best opportunity possible to try to go for a score. They're going to toss that one forward for some yardage. Now they just need to slay out around the base. His teammates are going to be in there for support, but the drone actually ended up getting reset. So back we go, and it's going to be Dave, the first player inside, going to toss that one out to Hockey. Hockey now going to pass that over to Josh. I feel like you're commentating NBA here, and it goes to Vortex and a 2-point play. Just a little bob and weave going between every single player. Excellent team play from the side of Epsilon. It's a thing of beauty when that happens.
Oh, that's scary for Team EnVyUs. They now have an even bigger deficit to climb coming into the second half. They have been unable to score in the first 2 minutes, and they're looking at another dunk on the side of Epsilon. They need to turn things around in a big, big way. The world champions, Team EnVyUs, are finding themselves down by 8 points as they're about to lose this series here.
Slash is doing everything he can to try to keep his team into this one. He does have that active camo. JCap has the overdrive as well. So two things that you can, your best chance of getting a 2-point play is utilizing those. So now Slasher is going to be able to pick this one up. He's pushing up into top ticket, going to be flooded with Epsilon players. Now the active camo does come into play, and that is a dunk there. So 2 minutes and 25 seconds left. They are still down by 6. They need to start stringing something together. You need to get that overdrive, the ball into the hands of JCap.
Somebody help Slasher. He just popped his camo, got a dunk, found a 2-piece, and still no one from EnVyUs could stay alive in the Epsilon base. They're not able to capitalize on it. They find themselves right back in middle map, but again, Epsilon comes out on top with the drone.
That's going to be Hockey utilizing the overdrive. 2 should have a 1-point play guaranteed, but throws it short. Welcome to the
That's
Maven's
tragic.
mishaps, my young friend.
That's tragic.
Apathy now has that. He's going to go ahead and toss the drone forward, utilize the FTL. Looks like he's trying to throw it to himself, but more streaks are now going to be raining from the sky. That is going to be Vortex utilizing that Trinity Rocket. He spots Apathy, and now they're going to be able to get the kill there, but now a team kill comes in as well. Vortex left last alive, waiting for his teammates to come up on respawn.
Yeah, I mean, that 1-point play kind of sucks, but they still have a 6-point lead to laugh at. At the end of the day, it's not a big deal for Team Epsilon here, and especially if you've got Josh shooting like that on the road, taking down 3 players as EnVyUs is once again unable to score on an offensive push.
And one player is going to be there to get the drone right off the reset. That is going to be Dave. He is the active camo as well. So now just starting to put the final nails into Team EnVyUs' coffin. He's going to be able to get the 1-point play. Yes, he is. So make that 12 for Epsilon as we approach the 1 minute. This is all but over. It's going to be an Epsilon 3-0 sweep over Team EnVyUs.
Just a minute remains here, and it's looking like it's just mathematically impossible and realistically impossible. Epsilon is not going to let a massive lead like this slip. Look, Dave, middle map uncontested, once again can do whatever he wants with the drone. EnVyUs, they're demoralized at this point. They're down by 7. Nothing's going to be happening on their side here, and that's a crushing defeat there. I mean, I didn't get to watch the Luminosity Gaming roster, but when I asked the Luminosity Gaming matchup between EnVyUs, but when I asked Maven what happened, he said, oh yeah, they got crushed. They got stomped, and they're just not feeling good. Slash is upset about the ERAD and just all this other stuff, and these are not things you want to hear about EnVyUs going through the tournament if you're an EnVyUs fan.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, you can't have John having games like that, too. It's pretty uncharacteristic of him to go 14 and 25, too, almost going double negative. It's not what you want to see if you're a Team EnVyUs fan, like you said, but you look on the side of Epsilon, everybody doing exactly what they needed to do, and that's really what it was, right? It was sort of the matchups. We saw it in the Hardpoint. They failed to match up with Hockey for a long stretch of the game. They finally started getting that in, but then they couldn't shut down the other 2 players who were dropping 30 bombs of their own as well. So the final score is going to be 12-5, and Epsilon takes the series 3-0.
Yeah, we're going to make sure we run through this series really briefly for you guys here, but right there, we do see Epsilon with a crushing finish to this series on against what was a very demoralized Team EnVyUs. We saw some signs of life here and there out of the likes of Apathy in the Hardpoint. A lot of action from Slasher, especially in that uplink, but there was just no follow-up from the rest of the team. You got to wonder where everyone else's heads is at, right? Heads are at. If Slasher, the one that's most prone to tilting and getting frustrated and demoralized, is going double positive, what's going on with the rest of the team? That just didn't look good.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I really wish we had the ability to hear the comms on what was going down, how the communication was. I could picture Slasher maybe saying something along the lines of, I'm going double positive, or something like that.
I don't think he would say that to his teammates' faces, though.
Hey, this is Slasher we're talking about. If you ever watch the stream, the guy's comedy. But anyway, going into this one, you're going to see the maps up on the screen. Throwback Hardpoint was map number 1. Epsilon took that one 250 to 199. Then we headed to Breakout, Search and Destroy, where Epsilon was able to take that 6-4, and then Precinct Uplink 12-5 as well. So a majority of the games, not really complete blowouts by any means at all, apart from that uplink, I would say.
If you look at the individual performances alone, though, it felt like a blowout. Like, there were just so many moments where Hawk, Dave, honestly, all 4 of these players had very monumental moments for them throughout this series. So, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at that in our box scores of this series here. So you can see Epsilon in the very first hardpoint. That train hill was just all theirs on Throwback, 62-29.
And I brought up when we said about how well they held that barn hill, I said that's probably the most hill that they had. 86 seconds leads everything that they have right there. And like we said, it was just that setup that we had that we don't really see many teams run, and it definitely paid off for them as well. You guys are going to see the key players. Vortex drops 42, John drops 34, 1.31, and a 1.0 KD for both players right there, as well as 98 seconds of hill time for Vortex. So it's just a great all-around performance, like we said, just a very dominant fashion in that one. Team EnVyUs was able to claw it back, though, to make it interesting.
Oh, they were able to make it a little interesting there in that search and destroy. It kind of looked like EnVyUs could have potentially had a victory, but then they let 3 rounds in a row slip, and Epsilon brought themselves right back into the game. So while we're talking about SD, let's pull up the box score of that match, and you can kind of see here very clearly those first 3 rounds going to EnVyUs, 4 straight to Epsilon. Actually, not just 3. Envy bites back 1 time. I think that was the round where Hawkey got a little overzealous about his positioning, and they just closed out the game. It was that easy, right? We saw the 1v2 where Hawkey called in those score streaks. And really, Hawkey has been a huge threat with the MV4 this series, and both respawns and search and destroy.
It's just really impressive how they go down 3-0, then all of a sudden win 4 in a row, drop 1, then win the next 2 to clear out the game. But like we said, when you have Hawkey putting up the numbers that he did, it's you can't complain, right? Then you had Apathy as well, dropping 8 kills in that one. So it's just Team EnVyUs, like we said, it was sort of like the matchup. There was at least one player always doing bad, and a Hardpoint, JCap wasn't putting up many kills.
Yeah.
And that Uplink, John wasn't putting up any kills. So that's just the one thing that you can take away. On Epsilon, everybody was doing their part. If Josh wasn't slaying as much as possible, his 3 teammates were dropping 30 each. That makes up for it because the other player's really just going to get like 10, like 15 or 20 kills too. So that was just a good one. But guys, and then we're going to jump straight into the Uplink box score here as well, which Epsilon took in dominating fashion once more. But the player we're going to highlight from Team EnVyUs is Slasher. What more could he have done in that game? He was doing really everything he could. He earned his payload, the active camo, which we know how hard that one is to get. But then we look at Dave on the side of Epsilon, 34 kills and a 1.70 KD as well. But Slasher, he had the kills and the 4 scores as well.
That man has to be fuming right now after that performance. He could not get anyone to follow it up. Slasher has no business being around middle map, so he was getting a lot of his kills around statue, around glass, and everyone was losing their gunfights to Josh and Dave on middle map every single time. They could not, and if they were winning the gunfights, Josh and Dave wasted enough time for the rest of Epsilon to at least spawn up and do something about it, and it reflects in the score there.
It was just a big thing too. That one thing that I took from was they were able to get the kills outside around the hill as well, but there was nobody on there ready to get that drone to pull it out and throw it somewhere. I mean, that's really all you need to do to have success in Uplink is slay out, get that drone, and pass it out to one way.
Easier said than done, though, especially when you're going against a strong roster in the form of Epsilon. Definitely a strong team in Uplink, and they're looking really good so far in this tournament. Our CWL Birmingham, I know the European fans are like, oh my God, what is this American accent? Butchering my city, right?
I got you, EU.
But, you know, coming off of that victory, a lot of talk has been around this Epsilon roster since picking up Josh, and I think we're seeing them improve massively from tournament to tournament. Even though they didn't make the playoff section of Stage 1, I still think that this is a strong European team to watch. So, guys, I'm Fox. This is Dirk. That's been the series of Epsilon versus EnVyUs. We'll see you guys in our next series of Rise versus Enigma 6.